In the last episode of the Fiorentina Career Mode, we signed Pablo Maffeo to be used as a defensive-minded winger. And on our way to a top 4 finish in Serie A, we got an update on how Chiesa's been doing as he helped lead Juventus to a victory against us. Hey, what's going on everyone? Flick here. Welcome back to another episode of our FIFA 21 Fiorentina Career Mode. This is episode number 7 and the start to season 4. And with the gradual improvements that we've made in this career mode, it's now time for the step up to Champions League, with the group consisting of Real Madrid, Porto, and Club Brugge. Squad-wise, I do see some changes on the way for Fiorentina. What a story it has been so far for Bonaventura, but at the ripe age of 33, he is unfortunately on the decline for his rating, which means it's time to sign a replacement for him in the midfield. I left y'all with an important decision to make in the last episode as to which player we should look to sign from a struggling side in Serie A. All of the clubs mentioned here are outside of European competition, so no Champions League, no Europa League. And although each player received a couple of votes, I think the logical choice would be a direct center midfielder replacement in Rodrigo de Paul. Although he's made the transfer to Atletico Madrid for the 21-22 season IRL, he's an experienced player in Serie A, and I think he's going to help us compete in Champions League. A few things I like about him is that he's already in the prime of his career. Also, Fiorentina have a consistent transfer history of signing Argentine players. It was a bargain for this transfer, only paying 25 million for a player whose value is roughly 30 million, agreeing to a 3-year deal on an important squad role worth 60 grand a week. I do want to cover some board objectives though, and for brand exposure, we have a high priority objective of getting 20 matches with at least 1 goal scored, and also signing 1 crucial first team player assigned to the midfielder or forward position. The rest of these objectives I think we can complete just by playing matches. But as to that brand exposure objective, signing a first team striker makes the most sense. Vlahovic is absolutely one of the top strikers in Serie A, but signing a world-class player to go alongside him could lead us to a Scudetto. There are a few different pronunciations you can use for this player. I'm going to go the Italian route and try to sign Moise Kean. The striker playing outside of Serie A, of course, used to play for Juventus, then made the transfer over to Everton, had a couple of loan spells at PSG, and now apparently he's at Aston Villa in this save. That's not going to work out because they are well outside of European competitions. This is going to mark a record-breaking signing, hitting the 9-figure mark at 100 million, agreeing to a contract with a crucial squad role, 5-year deal worth 100 grand a week. That's going to set us on the right foot for these board objectives. I'm not sure exactly how much that ties into the simulated results, but from my experience, a high manager rating gives you more of a likelihood of winning matches, which is always the aim for this career mode. I also saw a pretty solid free agents available. Federico Di Marco, a left midfielder at a 79 overall. He's actually one of the top potential left midfielder options as far as Italian players go, so I couldn't pass up on him as a free agent. Can play left mid, left back, or center back, giving us some more left-footed players in this squad. As far as the contract goes, he's going to serve as a rotational player, agreeing to a 3-year deal worth 60 grand a week. It's impressive how much we've improved this Fiorentina team to now make these quality of signings. And a big shout out to y'all for continuing to leave comments to make sure we're on track for realistic transfers. If you are enjoying this Fiorentina career mode, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Daniel Romano has been one of the most intriguing homegrown talents that we've had so far in FIFA 21. He's got the great potential. However, his stats distribution is so unusual. He can't seem to fit in at any of his primary positions, whether that be out on the wing or in the midfield. But I'm going to do what I can as far as development plans go to hopefully even out his stats. And in the later stages of this career mode, maybe he can make his way into the starting 11, at the very least an impact substitute. So with that said, despite receiving some big offers for him, we'll be declining any transfer bids. Now for top spenders, in the last episode we finally broke into the top 5. We actually led the way in this summer transfer window, spending 125 million with only 21 million in player departures. Juventus were in second with 117 million in transfers. Napoli also over the 9-figure mark. Inter in fourth with 98.6 million in transfers. Finally it's Udinese right around 53 million. Because our squad size is starting to reach the max amount of players at 50, I thought it would be best to let some players depart the club. None of these players are going to play a role, whether that be in the starting 11 or as substitutes, so we may as well cash in on some funds. And more importantly, this is going to give us extra room to sign some youth academy players, which we're always going to distribute scouts out for each season. Speaking of which, we sent out a lot of players on loan. Some of our youth academy talents are starting to approach the 80 overall mark, which is the minimum threshold I'm looking for if they want to feature as a substitute. But for now, this episode's scouting networks come from your comments, suggestions. Appreciate all of you that left those in the last video. Setting up a network in Italy for 6 months, looking for any type of player. Despite having an abundance of players from other Nordic countries, Fiorentina actually don't have a history of any Finnish players in their squad. So we'll be setting up a network there for 6 months, looking for a physically strong player. Finally rounding things out with a scout in Japan for 6 months, looking for a technically gifted player. I think a lot of you will know of Hidetoshi Nakata. He's got an icon card in Ultimate Team, but he has an extensive history of playing in Serie A for the likes of Parma. Also spent a couple of seasons at Fiorentina. So fingers crossed we can find another high potential player in this episode. As promised, here are the development plan updates. Maffeo is finally at that right midfielder role. Took him about half a season to complete that. We'll just be keeping him on balance from here on out, and hopefully we'll see an improvement in that rating of his. The Powell switching to the box-to-box role, which will help improve the pace, shooting, passing, and dribbling statistics. Same thing can be said for Costavilli, who will transition from a substitute role to more of a first-team player within the next season or two. And this is the plan of action for Romano. I'm keeping him on the left winger role, but I don't plan on switching his position. The only reason I'm choosing this one is because it boosts up his weak areas. So we're working on the sprint speed, crucially working on the finishing and attacking positioning, which is kind of his letdown. And then we can also get a couple of upgrades to the passing and dribbling stats. Unfortunately, Kane qualifies for the poacher development plan because he has high attacking work rates. This is one of my favorite ones. So he's going to get the upgrade to his shooting stats. I see him approaching the 90s by the end of this career mode. Just like the last few episodes, we're going to start off the gameplay with some league action, kicking off the season with a fixture against Cagliari. But I've just got to say, this Fiorentina squad is looking ready to take care of business. There are still a few areas that we can improve on, but we are without question one of the top sides in Serie A. We've had a lot of interactions with Cagliari throughout this career mode, matching up against them a few times in the gameplay and also negotiating some transfer deals. I would also argue that they're one of the most defensively sound teams in Serie A. Cragno, one of Italy's highest potential goalkeepers. But with the signings that we made in this summer transfer window, I would favor the odds that either Vlahovic or Kenna scores a few goals in this one. But getting right into the highlights, it's going to be another one of our new signings, DePaul, that sets up Gonzalez. He's growing in confidence here at Fiorentina, and I think he can put up some big numbers here in Season 4. Cagliari answering right back, and as you can see, we do have an injured player on the pitch. It's Milenkovic that will substitute off in a little bit of time, but what a save on Drumgolski's near post to keep things level. Gonzalez again finding Kenna into Isco, and now Vlahovic. Just some quick passes between our players. Really should have been rewarded with a goal there. Substitute wise, I haven't figured out which players I want to feature on the bench. Promising talents like Costavilli, Romano, and Kwame will definitely feature, but maybe in the future we need to consider having a center back available as well. Good news though, as Milenkovic is only out for 5 days, it's tough to gauge the severity of these injuries, and I would rather let a player rest up rather than risk a more serious injury occurring. We're into the later stages of the first half, and here's Cragno making another big stop off of Vlahovic's effort. We'll pick the ball up again with DePaul. Some precise dribbling to find Vlahovic, and it's going to be a nice defensive stop by Cagliari. Into the second half, and it's Matteo. Haven't really worked the ball down the right side that much in this fixture, but here's a little bit of action as Kenna gets his first touches on the ball to Gonzalez, and that is how you open up the scoring for Season 4. I told you that Gonzalez was growing in confidence, and that's a fantastic cross-goal effort to find the back of the net. It didn't take long, though, for Cagliari to answer right away, showing some good physical presence there to keep hold of possession. Our defenders getting in the way a couple of times, but ultimately it was that defensive substitute, Holgar, that we brought on that couldn't get the block in, and you could argue this goal was a result of a managerial mistake on my end. Still plenty of time though as we push on and try to find this winner, favoring the left side as Gonzalez sets up Kenna. It's a nice block again from Cragno. Stop 2 or 3 sure set goals, but as we continue bombarding the Cagliari defense, it's another one of our substitutes, Bonaventura. These sort of situations is exactly why I keep him available on the bench. He's got that proven Serie A experience, and his finishing in front of goal has been superb in this career mode, and with just a few minutes remaining, I thought this goal would be the winner for us. Fair play to our opponents though, they showed a lot of resilience to keep pushing players forward. A final chance in the 90th, and some nice passing between their players. You can see we're collapsing. We know that's going to be the equalizer. Practically no time remaining for us to get a kickoff and try to go on the other end and score. So in what will be a very entertaining fixture from a neutral perspective, we'll begin our Serie A campaign with the draw. Not how I would have liked, but still some promising moments in this match. For the first time since he transferred here 2 seasons ago, Isco will return to the Estadio Bernabeu as we take on Real Madrid in our first Champions League fixture. Keeping in mind that we had a 3-2 winning result against Real Madrid on the simulated fixture, I was looking forward to play this match. One of my favorite stadiums to play at in FIFA 21. This is the incentive that Champions League brings, adding more variety to these gameplay fixtures as we try to get a win against the most difficult club in our group. Madrid are well known for their attack, and although they've made some changes in this career mode, some of their young players have stepped up and progressed in their rating, working around the ball so quickly. Only so much that Dromgoski can do, making the initial save, but the rebound going right to Rodrigo as he opens up the scoring for Madrid 13 minutes into this one, celebrating with the fans here. This is the high tempo that we had a hard time adjusting to. Definitely a rough start to this one. Carvajal holding off Amrabat, now backwards to Martin Odegaard. Still Madrid with possession, and Dromgoski made a great save on his near post, probably saving another goal there. That's the sort of performance that we needed to get back into this one. Some 1-2 play between Kouame and Vlahovic. It's Kouame that's played through, and in a rare start, he will get the equalizer. I'll admit the reason that he got the nod in this one over Kena is that there were some stamina issues. Perhaps this will be the season that we see Kouame flourish. He'll need goals in order for dynamic potential to take over. Switching gears to the second half, we get a counter-attacking chance, and it's Kouame again played through, going one-on-one with Courtois, but this time around, the Belgian goalkeeper quick to come off his line. I've got to say that both teams were going for the winner, neither really settling for a draw, as another chance for Madrid in the 83rd minute, an audacious attempt from Lautaro Martinez. And although this attempt didn't find the back of the net, that kind of gives you a picture of the sort of quality he brings to Madrid. Although we had our chances to potentially pick up a win, I'll absolutely take a single point from this match. That'll keep us in the running for our group, as the main objective is just to advance the knockout stages. We go from facing a Belgian goalkeeper in Thibaut Courtois to a Belgian side, Club Brugge, one of the Pro League's top teams, and they have quite a few of their high potential players still here in Season 4. De Ketelaere at the left wing position. We put in a pretty dominant performance for the simulated fixture despite a 24th minute red card for De Paul. We scored 2 goals after that, and Club Brugge didn't even register a shot. Having started the Champions League group stage with a draw, these are the sort of matches that we need to try and win, especially now as we make the return to our home ground. It took us a while to get an idea of how Club Brugge were going to play. Fairly defensive minded, but what a chance created from Isco. Gonzalez with a cross goal effort. He has been on fire to kick off this season. That's the perk of having a left winger that can also play a striker. His finishing in front of goal is incredible, and that's why it pays off to be strategic with the transfers you make. Also, our front two doing a good job of disrupting the Club Brugge attack. Heavy touch from Kena. He's going to finesse, shot across goal. Mignolet has not had the best start, but there's really not too much you can blame on the goalkeeper. It's his defense that has been letting him down, and our attack that's making the most of these chances. We suffer another injury though. Amrabat will need to be brought off, and again, it's Pulgar that we call upon. Only a 5-day injury though, so Amrabat will only miss a match at most. With a 2-goal lead, we can make some more changes though. It's DeMarco that's brought on for his first Fiorentina appearance. Known to have a strong defensive presence. These are the sort of situations where he can excel to hopefully keep a clean sheet for us, but Club Brugge will do their best to spoil that as Badji creates a chance. Dromgoski does well to come off his line, but I need to be more careful about disturbing the ball from the back because we've had a couple of cases where we nearly concede a goal. Fortunately, we hang on to possession here and start a counter of our own. Maffeu setting up Vlahovic, a first-time pass to Kena, another heavy touch, and a finesse shot effort will give him a brace. A strong attacking performance from us, and I've talked about how I wanted to have that dynamic duo. I think we found it with Kena and Vlahovic. Wherever possible, I try to feature Romano just to make sure he gets a couple of minutes and appearances to keep him happy and hopefully keep his rating progressing. But when we have standout performers like this, it's tough to give him enough play time. Kena with his first hat trick for the club, and hopefully the first of many as he secures the match ball. And based off our performances so far, you've got to think that we're through to the knockout stages of Champions League, but we're not going to let up for our final fixture, as there is a very real possibility that we could win the group. Porto will be our final opponent in the group, and we have some history with them. Of course, Tecatito joined early on in the career mode, and it'll be interesting to see if they found the proper replacement in Otavio. But this is a side that we can't take lightly. If they've managed to retain a lot of their high potential players, they can certainly compete with some of the best European sides, and it was a narrow victory for us in the simulated match as we won that 1-0. Even though Liga NOS doesn't have any real stadiums in FIFA 21, I feel like the game does a pretty good job of providing an authentic experience, which is kind of the selling point for what matches I feature in the gameplay. This turned out to be quite the defensive showing from both teams. From the last 2 seasons, I can't recall many situations where Dromgoski let up a cheap goal on his near post, and that's a big reason why he's become one of my favorite goalkeepers that I've used this year. When you can rely on your keeper as the last line of defense, it completely changes how you defend and ultimately provides more clean sheets. But Porto were playing quite well. Matteo with a chance here into Castrovilli. Maybe could have crossed this one to Kane as he was making the run in through goal, but it's going to be another chance here from Amrabat, winning back possession, playing through Kane. Unfortunately, just called for offside. Otherwise, I think that would have been the opening goal. But maybe we can break the deadlock in the new half. It's Kane again played through, tried chipping this one past the keeper, still hanging on to possession, and unfortunately, Castrovilli just doesn't have the composure to find the back of the net there. Kane with some 1-2 passing. It's Castrovilli trying to make up for his earlier miss. He will do so. A coolly slotted finesse shot to the keeper's left. Coming on as a substitute, he has shown that he may be ready for some first-team action, and in the unfortunate case of any injuries, he will be the first player I call upon. As we look to close this one, again, we're going to see some defensive lapses, and this is an opportunity that I'm going to take to make a call to action. If y'all see me trying to play out the back like this again in the career mode, let me know in the comments section, because we cannot afford to make these sort of mistakes. It's about time the game made me pay for trying to hang on to too much possession and not just clearing the ball away. It's a cheap goal to concede, and I was concerned this might have cost us winning the group. But as we take a look at the standings, it fortunately did not make a difference, as we had a strong outing, 14 points from 6 matches played. It'll be us and Real Madrid to advance in the knockout stages. I'm hoping we can translate that solid outing in Champions League over to Serie A. Just 2 fixtures remaining before the January transfer window. And as it has been a couple of seasons since we last played Milan, I thought they would be a great opponent. They're struggling a bit, but we find ourselves in a very promising position, just 2 points shy of league leaders Inter. Also, can I just mention, for this Milan team, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is still playing and still starting in season 4. I can genuinely say this is the latest I've seen him in career mode. Usually he retires in the first 2 seasons, maybe the 3rd season at latest, but with an overall of 82 at 42 years old, he shows no signs of slowing down. I've been surprised by a lot of things in this save, but I feel like it translates pretty well to how Serie A actually plays. Older players can still get consistent match time due to the slower style of play. Combine that with some of the high potential, promising players, it makes for a fun league to watch, and I plan on getting more into Serie A after this career mode comes to an end. But a really good start in these highlights, an electric counterattack from Kenna. That seems to be the way he likes to score, and he has been probably the quickest impact player and transfer that we've made so far in this career mode. Speaking of impact players, check out this cross from Romano. I show some resemblances of Isco's cross earlier on in the episode. A classy finish from Kenna on his weak foot will double our lead as we try to close off the episode with a win. But we're still in the first half here, and it's Milan who try to answer. Salamakers to Ibra, the back heel back to Salamakers, and a very Ibra-esque assist will cut Milan's deficit in half. This is a pretty fun match to play, and I think how things go in career mode after a player is 40 years old, they stop declining for whatever reason. It's how Buffon sometimes can go up to 10 seasons or even later in career mode. I've seen that a couple of times. But I've got to say, especially in some of these later seasons, I've been crossing the ball more, and it proves to be effective. It's Lahovic that will again give us a 2-goal lead. A well-placed header across goal. Not much that Donnarumma can do about that as we increase our lead back to 2. We're going to pick up the tempo for these last 25 or so minutes. Milan are making some great substitutions, so I'd like to increase this lead even more. But I've got to mention DeMarco. I think I'll be starting him more because he's been a surprising player in terms of his impact. I mostly wanted to sign him for squad depth, but it seems like he has some great passing ability. As the clock winds down, this is going to be a great outing from Pogba. He got brought on late in the match, and I think if he had been in Milan's starting 11, maybe we would have seen a different result. But it is Zlatan who gets on the score sheet. Good to see him scoring a goal. And fortunately, that goal won't be making a difference on the final result of this match as we win it 3-2. So it seems like we figured out our tactics with Fiorentina. We'll now get into the mid-season recap and see if that win boosted us top of Serie A. As far as I'm aware, this is the closest we've been to being top of the table at the halfway mark. Inter just 1 point ahead of us, but they have an extra fixture in hand. Both of us are undefeated in the league. Anything can happen in the remainder of season 4. But it looks like some international sides are starting to take notice of our performances in Serie A. We have received the offer from the Italian national team. And now that we are approaching the end of FIFA 21, I'm trying to figure out what sort of content I want to feature on the channel. Maybe some sort of international career mode or a live stream could be in order. That is going to be your big decision for the episode. Are you interested in seeing any international management content specifically for the Italian national team? If we do decide to go that route, it'll depend on when this career mode comes to an end. It would either be at the end of this season or probably in 2 years time, which would be for the World Cup. Ken has left his mark as a top goal scorer for us, netting 12 goals across 23 appearances. Vlahovic right behind him, 10 goals from 24. Also Gonzalez, 7 goals from 23 for us. And it's DePaul and Romano both on 6 assists. Keep in mind though, Romano just 16 appearances. I'm going to try to fit him into the starting 11 some way or another. There are a number of players tied for the 4th place spot. Isco, Vlahovic, and Ken all had 4 assists across the first half of season 4. But as we close out today's episode, I want to give a big thanks to channel members for supporting what we do here on YouTube. If you want to learn more about the YouTube membership program, make sure you click the join button right underneath the video and unlock some exclusive perks for the channel. Make sure to get involved in the comment section if you want to see an international career mode on the channel, and also leave some transfer suggestions for the upcoming episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you all again soon.